Hi guys, happy Monday. Welcome back to another episode of Soulful Living with Megs. As always, it is so great to have you here back for a moment of connection with me. Hello, my beautiful friends. Happy Monday. How are you doing today? I hope that your past weekend was amazing. I hope that it was fulfilling in all areas that you hoped it to be. I hope that you are soaking up all the vibrancy of summer. And I know I say that pretty much every single time, but truly I hope that you do. I hope that you are engaging in all the fun summer activities, saying yes when you want to, all the good things. I just love to hear about your life, so please send me updates. If I take time to respond, don't take it personally, but I would love to hear about what you've been up to and everything like that. Before we get into today's topic, I of course wanted to update you on a few things myself. I'm feeling quite relaxed at the moment. I just came back from a massage and I'm very much looking forward to my next massage that I'm having in a few days from now. I'm trying to use up the rest of my benefits as this was my last week in office with my current company. And so, I'm using up the benefits that I have left. And so thankfully I get to go for a few massages. I'm going to go to acupuncture this week. I'm just going to spend the week, honestly, like doing self-care, and I'll dedicate some time to deep clean the house. That'll make me feel better. I do need to work a tiny bit, which is not the most ideal, but obviously something I don't mind doing to help out the people in my life and in my career. But a few exciting updates before we get into the main topic of today. I took my first tap class in a long time, mainly to make sure I knew how to dance still, but also I just missed seeing the choreographer and some of the people that I used to go to class regularly with, and it was so much fun. The only thing I will say is that at the end of class, they do bring in someone to film, which I think is a great resource and tool to have, just so that you can look back on the footage, whether or not you want to find areas where you can improve or use that for some type of self-tape, or not self-tape, some type of dance reel if you're putting something together like that, simply just to enjoy and post online. I do think it's a great tool. For some reason, my brain kind of freezes when that moment comes, and the combo itself was fun and I wouldn't say easy to pick up. Like, it's definitely doable, especially after a year or so of being off. But of course I was rusty getting back into it. My ankles were a lot, more sore even after just doing the warm-up exercise. So I was like, wow, I need some practice in this. But I don't know what happened. As soon as the friggin' camera came in, I forgot what I was doing. I just was like, oh, I don't know how to dance anymore. And so that was a bit discouraging for a moment, but also at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter. And I know it's not going to be perfect. I also had a blast the entire time before and even during that moment. And, for those things, sometimes you just have to laugh at yourself. Don't take it so hard and personally, and just know that it's okay to screw up and mess up, and the world didn't end. You know what I mean? That sounds dramatic, but it's true, and it's okay not to be perfect. And I just had so much fun doing that. And I have been seeing friends, and I had a really nice day catching up with a few old dance friends, and then also seeing my other good friend. And we just went out and about downtown walking around, and that's been very good. But I've been quite busy with respect to work. And so a lot of my time the past week was dedicated for that. And it's nice to kind of wrap things up, but it was just so time consuming and my mind share was pretty occupied with work. But that was super fun. I also went to a games night last night. I'm recording this on Sunday, so you'll hear this on Monday. And it was so much fun. I don't normally like to stay up that late, as you guys know, but it's okay to be, out of routine and out of your comfort zone. It's always good, and it's nice meeting new people and playing board games. And we played Coup, which is one of my favorite card games to play. If you have not played it before, I definitely suggest it. It's super fun. And then we played a couple other games that I haven't played before, and it was just nice to laugh and catch up and have a couple drinks with people and friends. And even though I went to bed late, it's okay. I woke up this morning relaxed going into my massage. And so I very much enjoyed that, and kind of just been thinking about the topic that I want to discuss today, and how kind of the past week or two has been occupied by this topic. And it's quite interesting. I don't know if it's associated at all with the fact that we're in a retrograde, but things were feeling a bit more heavy in terms of my emotional capacity, and I was more sensitive to things. And I think it's one of those things where one thing after another seems to just occur. And I feel as though when I thought about, ooh, I think I want to talk about this today because of one specific thing that I was going to reference, which I'm going to reference, but the reason why I wanted to talk about it was because I was like, okay, this is very prevalent right now, and I think it does create a topic of conversation for us. And then after that, it was like, as soon as I thought that I would do this, so many other things popped up that kind of very much associated to this topic, which I found was quite interesting. But I feel like that happens a lot in life, where it's not necessarily a manifestation, but it's just like when you put that thought out into the universe, it's often brought back with that result in which you're constantly thinking about that topic. I hope that made sense, but I think that that's the case in so many other ways. If you're worried constantly about getting sick before a trip, a big upcoming trip that you have, how many times have you actually gotten sick going into it? I feel like every single time I've stressed about getting sick, I've gotten sick before this thing, just because your mind is so occupied by it. Subconsciously you're thinking, and then you kind of allow that to occur even though you don't want to. But that's what I'm trying to say, is that so many things in this particular topic came up, and they all have this one common theme, but they're very different types of this topic. And so, as you know from the title, I wanted to talk about grieving and just mourning loss in life, how to maybe navigate it. This isn't necessarily a how to, and I'll explain why later, but I did want to share some examples of different types of mourning and loss and grief that I have experienced the past little bit, people in my life have experienced, and just shed a light on the fact that healing is not linear, and mourning loss in all areas of your life can look very different from your friend who's going through some type of loss. And of course, before we dive into this topic in more detail, I just want to say, please take whatever resonates with you in today's episode. These are, of course, my opinions based on how I experience the world, and so that may not be as resonant with you. So it's okay if it's not. Just please take what you can. If something speaks to your heart and soul, I hope that you can take that. Remember that. Share it with people. If something else doesn't, that's simply okay. Just let that be and let that go. So I was thinking about discussing this topic because of two main things that have been the most prevalent in my mind. One being my current career / job coming to an end, and having to grieve not seeing the people that I have seen essentially every day for the past 2 years. And I was writing some thank you cards for everybody in the firm the past week and a half. And so, of course, this has been on my mind to where, okay, every day, time is ticking. We're going to get to the end of my last day, where now things are shifted kind of drastically, because you spend almost every single waking hour that you're like up, not asleep, with these people. And so it's a huge shift not to have them in your life in that same capacity. And while I acknowledge it's not a loss such as a death or losing a loved one or some medical issues or things like that, other life tragedies, it's still a loss in a way that has affected me. And my last day at the firm was on Friday, and it was quite emotional for a few reasons in the morning, but one of them being the fact that I knew I had to say goodbye to many of my friends that I made. And I have people that I work with that I've gotten super duper close to, and we were just exchanging cards with one another and crying, and it was just this whole thing. But also so beautiful at the same time. And we were talking about the fact that, wow, this is so sad that we're not going to be able to see each other every single day and have our morning rituals like we do. Like, I have a friend, she's a very good friend, and I'm so glad that I met her through work because I don't think I would have met her otherwise. And, I've invited her to my birthday, and we hang out at lunch a lot of the time when I'm not working out. And we bought friendship bracelets, and it's so cute. But we have a morning ritual, or we at least have had one for the past month, where we make smoothies every morning together, and it's just a nice time to catch up. But we'll always run to Starbucks together. We're constantly teamsing. Point is we've gotten quite close, and we were discussing how sad it was going to be that wasn't going to be a daily occurrence. But it's also beautiful to be able to schedule intentional time outside of work to get together and to connect with the people that you have connected with for so long. And I do think a lot of people in your life, for various reasons, come into your life in specific times. And sometimes they last for a long time, sometimes they don't. And they're all meant to be in your life for a reason at that time that you're living life. But these people have truly struck a chord with me. A lot of them I feel very connected to. They have supported me through a lot of difficult times with this job. And of course, some days are heavier than others, especially at work. And I get all that, but these people have really been there for me, and I felt very guided by them. I felt inspired by a lot of them. A lot of them are older than me, so they're providing life advice that I haven't been through yet, but they've experienced at a deeper level, which I think is great that I can take all that with. And so I'd love to be more intentional with keeping in contact with these people. And even if we don't see each other every day, like, I know that I'm going to want to have these people, and I do have these people now in my corner that I can reach out to and connect with when I can and go visit. I mean, it's not a far walk to the office anyway. The firms are close to each other. But that was, something that I was thinking about the past little bit, and how it's going to be a shift, and it is a type of loss. And even though this is a great new experience, and if you're in something similar, especially with a job transition or even switching careers entirely, so even though, like, I'm still in the same field of work that I'm in, I'm still switching it. But if you're doing something a complete 180, that's obviously going to be scary, and there is a type of loss that's associated with that. But I also think it's beautiful that you got to experience what you did at the time. You can bring whatever knowledge you gained from that into your next endeavor. And now you have people in your life that you maybe otherwise wouldn't have met if it weren't through that job, if it weren't through that field that you were working in. And I just think it's so special to be able to connect with people on that level. But it is a type of loss that is going to take some getting used to, and then going into something new is scary, and just getting a new familiarity with the people and that scheduling and your new routine and rituals, and it's change, and we know how sometimes we feel about change, and although it's necessary, it can be scary. So anyway, that was one of the reasons why I wanted to talk about this topic, as that has been very prevalent. The second reason being a little bit more heavy. I will be talking about, a child right now, and if you have experienced a loss of someone in your life or a child and stuff, this might be triggering, and I'm sorry in advance, but I could not talk about this with you guys just because it has been prevalent in my mind. But I've been thinking about this sweet baby boy. His name is Parker, who's been missing for over 9 days by the time you're listening to this in Calgary, and I'm praying he's found. I'm truly praying by the episode when it comes out that he's found. But he's 11 and he's neurodivergent, and therefore his autism has him functioning at a much younger age. And autistic kids are incredibly smart and gifted. And so my hope is that he's found in a safe space with water, and I'm like praying food and water and all that stuff. But I'm sure those of you who are from Calgary who are listening to this, you probably know this news very well. But everyone in the city has come together to search for him, and I'm truly in awe with my friends and family who have personally gone out night after night searching themselves for hours. And I've been keeping updated on the situation, even though I, of course, don't personally know him. But my mom works with children who have special needs. And so I've been around these kids who are neurodivergent and so special all of my life. And I feel this close bond to them. And so with that, I've been quite heartbroken and sad to think about that he could be somewhere all alone and he's probably so scared. But we're all praying that he's found and found soon and alive. And this is a type of mourning, while it's not closely connected to you. This is a type of loss in a way, and every minute that goes by, like I can only imagine how difficult this is for his family. And I'm trying not to be so down on the situation. I'm trying not to be consumed by these updates because I've been at work like refreshing every hour to see if something more has come up. And I'm genuinely trying not to let it overwhelm me. And I have great people in my life that remind me that I need to take breaks and that I need to, maybe think about something else for a little bit just to allow my mind to rest. But I also think that there's so much beauty in the idea that we as humans can be touched so deeply by the world and the people around us. And the fact that everyone is coming together in support, I think truly goes to show that there's strength in numbers and that it's important to remain kind and gentle with one another because we truly don't know what's happening in one another's lives. This is like every parent's worst nightmare, and I don't even want to think about what this loss would feel like if he wasn't going to be in the world anymore, if he doesn't make it, and so it's so sad, and I feel the loss, and I don't even know him. I don't even know him, but I love that everyone has come together to support each other. And Calgary's just an amazing city, and this is what we're about. And I'm like, yeah, like that's my city that I grew up in. That's my home at the end of the day. And so I'm so proud that these people are putting aside, their problems in life and understanding that there's a bigger picture to all of this, and that thinking about other people is also very important. And it's just been I've been so touched to see that people have been going out every single day, after work, before work, everything, to search for this little boy. And I'm just praying that he's safe, and I'm praying for his family, and I'm praying for all of you who have been affected by this situation also. Another reason why I wanted to talk about today's episode, which didn't actually happen until recently, was I found out about some news on Friday, actually my last day at the office. I was a little bit more, I had a bit more pep in my step before I found out this news, and so it kind of made me pause for a moment and reflect and think, okay, this is my time to really focus on my family and send my love to them. And while I'm going to be busy, while I'm also dealing with the loss of like not seeing my people, like I also can spend attention elsewhere on the people that I love in my life. But my amazing cousin, I've definitely talked about her on the pod before. I know she listens to my podcast, so I love you, my beautiful prima, and I can't wait to see you whenever I see you. But I found out that her and her partner lost their new home in a fire here in Vancouver. And it was honestly heart-wrenching to find out this information. I feel like so many of these big tragedies that happen are big losses in that way. And sorry, I don't want to minimize by saying the word big. Like everything, any type of loss that you go through in life is meaningful and big to you. I'm not saying that like one thing matters more than the other, but I'm just saying that like a house fire where you lose every single thing in your home is quite the ordeal. And so you don't necessarily think about it happening to you or the people you know. So it's always quite shocking when it actually does happen to you. And most people say like, I never thought this would happen to me. Of course you don't. You don't think that one day you're going to be going to bed in your amazing, curated, beautiful home, and then in the morning you're going to be awoken by people yelling fire and you have to get out and you can't salvage anything. So it was very difficult to find out this information. And, of course I reached out to her and I was just waiting for updates, and I was so worried, and I was like texting my family and I was like, oh my gosh, this happened. Like, please think about them. Please, like, keep them in your prayers. But the most important part is that they are safe and everyone in the house is safe. But at the same time, it's so sad to think about the fact that they lost everything they worked so hard for in terms of the work that they put into the house. And while I understand the material things can be replaced, and of course what matters the most are their lives, we are still allowed to mourn that type of loss as well. Because you work hard for the things that you have in life, it's okay to be sad and to be grieving over those types of losses as well. And something that moved me, though, in this situation was the fact that I posted a GoFundMe link because her wonderful friend created one for them, which was amazing. And we raised more than they had asked, which was so good. So I posted it on my story. I posted some pictures of the fire and what happened. And her sister did the same, and I'm sure her other friends and stuff. But what made me feel so loved was the fact that my people, like people in my life that don't even know them, were reaching out to me to make sure that they were okay. And like I said, some of my friends don't know them personally. A lot of them that did check in, they do. But so many of my friends that asked if I was okay, texted me, asked if they were okay, responded to my story on Instagram, making sure, or even just sharing the fact that, oh my gosh, this is so sad, and just like allowing that space to coexist together. The fact that so many people reached out just, again, goes to show, similarly to the case about Parker, is just like how much people care, and how much my people care about me and the people that I love. Like, people, my friends are caring about the people in my life that I care about, which, I mean, is a testament to the fact that you guys are all so wonderful in my life. And beyond anything, I am so grateful that I have you guys in my corner, and the people that are in my circle, they're so irreplaceable. And it's just, I have the best people in my life, truly. So everyone who contributed in any way, by checking in on me, by checking in on them, donating to their GoFundMe, like, thank you. Thank you so much for supporting my family and the people that I love. And thankfully, my cousin texted me yesterday to let me know how they were doing. And, I was so glad to hear from her. And I just, like, I want updates. I want to see them. I want to help them in any other way that I can. But she said something at the end of her text that was so crucial that I wanted to remind you guys about grieving and loss. So she said, not a lot made it through the fire, but our love did. And I think that is just such a sentiment. And while we as humans have no choice when it comes to mourning loss, because there will be many types of loss in life, it is inevitable not to have loss. Having love remain throughout it all is super healing. And this is applicable to all different types of feeling, not just love. So mourning and grieving loss while also holding compassion, grace, patience, and time in our heart can also make the loss feel a bit easier to live through. And while I understand we dislike being in uncomfortable situations, allowing yourself to grow through what you go through, and also remind yourself that it will end up okay because you're stronger than you think, is vital for survival, in my opinion, and something that I wanted to share with you and remind you to also tell yourself, because you will always end up okay. I'm just, again, so thankful that my family is safe and everybody in that home is safe. All the animals are safe. Things can be replaced. Things will be replaced. But the most important thing is that they're alive. Their love remains. They have strength with all the people in their life, and they are so resilient. So I'm so grateful, and thank you guys again. Like I said in the beginning, I don't necessarily have a how-to grieve or mourn loss, because to be frank, like, in my opinion, it is quite personal to you and your situation. What I can give you advice on, and maybe a how-to, is that it's okay not to be okay. And it's also okay to lean on your people and ask for help whenever you need it. It's okay to cry or scream or be angry for a period of time, because large emotions don't last long once you release it from your body and your mind share. Something else I can tell you is that how you navigate the pain from a loss is the right way for you in that moment, and it's okay to find beauty and joy in the sad moments too. I think it also just makes it a bit easier, again, to grow through. As you guys know, everything too shall pass, and that's something that is said worldwide. But take care of yourself and be kind to yourself during this time, because everything too shall pass. And while I can't tell you exactly, when you'll start feeling better, I know that each day and each time you put one foot in front of the other and choose to keep going, you are on your path to healing. And of course, there's going to be some stops along the way. They're going to be rocky and bumpy. They might delay your journey entirely. And some days you might not even want to take one step forward. And that is okay. It still means you're healing. But allow what happens on this journey and this grieving process to happen, and to know that you are still guided every step of the way, because you're not alone at the end of the day in this world. And your how to navigate, I guess, is already within you. And I also wanted to remind you with that there's no timeline for when you should be over a loss, for when you should be finishing grieving, because truthfully, while I do believe time heals in so many ways, sometimes loss will stay with you forever. And more oftentimes it does sit with you for the rest of your life. I just think it feels a bit lighter on your shoulders, in your heart, in your soul, by the more resilient you become each day. But it doesn't mean that loss is gone. I think it's always within you, because I also think it helps shape who you are in life moving forward, which is also a beautiful thing. I appreciate you listening to today's episode. I just wanted to share some personal stories that I've been feeling lately. I hope that it's inspired you to keep going and keep putting one foot in front of the other on this journey, and just know that you're guided in every way you can, and I'm here for you. I hope that if you're experiencing any type of loss, that you have support in your corner, and that you don't feel alone, because you aren't. And I'm here to remind you that I'm here for you, and I'm rooting for you, and I think you're so strong and can get through anything that is in your path. I hope that your week is filled with endless opportunities of joy and love and light. I'm sending all of that incredible energy to you as always, so I hope that you feel it. I am very much looking forward to updating you guys on my week off in a lighter term. I'm so excited to dedicate time to myself for some self-care. I cannot wait. I cannot wait to update you guys. So anyway, I'll miss you as always, but I will talk to you next Monday. Bye.